that we let old people off the hook and we crap on babies. I don't get it. Why? What? Everybody will complain about, oh my God, we're on this plane and this baby was crying. The baby was crying the whole time. This baby was crying. Of course he's crying. He doesn't understand pressurization. He doesn't know his head isn't actually going to explode. So he's trying to convey his discomfort to the only people he knows in the only way he knows how. Which is what you're supposed to do in that situation. If you think your head is going to pop, scream! And maybe let's cut your tongue out and drop you in Thailand with appendicitis and see what kind of funny noises you make. Babies don't speak the language, they're new. They have an excuse for being stupid. Teenagers are allowed to be dumb. They're supposed to be obnoxious and hate their family. You know why? So they won't sleep with them. Nature knows what it's doing. All the time you're sexually kidnapping, right? Biologically, right when the gears start rolling, you can't stand anybody in your family, especially your sister or your aunt. So you hate them. So you're doing something right if your teenage son goes, I hate you guys. Good, go outside. See when you're 19. Nothing against kids. They're allowed to be stupid. Old people have no excuse. They've seen too much. I don't understand email. The world is moving so fast. Okay, look. Remember, you ever type on a typewriter, and if you type too fast, the hammers get jammed, and you have to stop and slow down and pull it? Okay, you figured that out. You can figure out email, butter churn. Technology has gotten easier. Okay, I'll give you an example. Okay, my dad has a friend named John. And John, I've known John since I was 2 years old. John Dutiles, a friend of my dad's. And he has this finger missing. He was always my dad's friend who's missing this finger, okay? And you know why he's missing this finger? Because when he was... Alright, we bought my grandmother a washer-dryer. Follow me on this. I know people in the dark. You guys trust. I don't know what's going on back there. I know. We bought my grandmother a washer dryer, and she was like, I don't understand it. It's a washer and a dryer, and it's got all these buttons on it, and lights and buttons. And yeah, the buttons say on, off, hot, cold, wash. Yeah, it's really confusing. Meanwhile, when she was young, and when John Dutile's mother used to do laundry, to dry clothes, she would wash them in a creek bed or something, and then they would put them through these rollers. There was these two rollers like this, and she would hand crank them. Everything back then in the 20s and stuff was hand cranked. Everything. The car started this way, the dryer worked, the phone, everything had a crank on it. But this is how it worked, and they would squeeze the thing, and his job as a little boy was to feed the laundry through it. See where this is going? You have any idea? Okay, so he's feeding through it, and his mother just... I guess didn't hear the screams or didn't care because there was lithium in 7-Up and cocaine and Coca-Cola at that time. And she literally squoze his thumb, just smashed it flat. It came off. And she's like, I don't remember that blouse being pink. But this stuff is, oh, I don't understand these buttons and buttons. What? All right. I'll give you an example. Okay, cell phones. Old people, cell phones are so confusing. These smartphones are so stupid. I don't understand, blah, blah, blah. All right, remember, you can now, if you wanted to on your phone, you could call somebody just using their Facebook picture. You could just see their picture. Do you know any of your friends' numbers? No. You remember your parents' number because you were forced to memorize it in case an accident happens and they wouldn't give you money for the weekend unless you were to recite it. But you don't know anybody else's number. You go, Gail. And that's how you call someone, right? Back then, they not only had to memorize numbers, they had to memorize numbers like Klondike, KL425, this is Isabella, 927, and they would have to pick up a piece. The phone was in pieces. This part over here, or this part, you're talking like, you could get confused about which part, and you would hand crank that. And by the way, that wasn't an engine. That didn't start the phone. That didn't, it was a ringer to wake up a woman 100 miles away in a room, a lady with a headset on. Hello. in a room full of holes with a pile of wires, and you would go, Klondike KL421, this is Isabella 79428, I'm calling Klondike KL421, and this woman had to go, oh, Klondike KL421, and she had to know what the hell that meant, and she would take a cable and go, Klondike KL421, calling Isabella 7928, and she would listen to every phone call so she would know when to hang up. And you're worried about your Facebook privacy? Shut up. Sick of old people. Ice flow time. Alright. Some of them are interesting. I think there should be a test. Not usefulness. Because at a certain point, you shouldn't have to be productive. I think that's the mistake that people make when they're like, when old people are too old to be productive, put them on an ice floe and send them out. Nope. Boring. That's the only qualification. Boring and you're out there. If you're an old and doddering but you can tell a mean story, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear stories from 1912. I have no idea what it was like with the flappers. Sick of old people. And I got news for you. Old people are not a species. They're not another animal. They're us a little while from now. You know what I mean? God willing, I will be super old one day. I really want to be old. I want to be old. Gnarly, crusty, gray-toothed, and I can't clip my fingernails anymore because my hand shakes too much. So clawy like Howard Hughes, and I'm angry for no reason, and sometimes I'll giggle about a story someone told me 57 years ago. Old. Old where you see me and I have a Band-Aid on my head. You know that kind of old. You see an old man? That's the only thing that gives me the willies. True confession. My mom's a nurse. I've seen the most gnarly stuff. I've given CPR 3 times. One time with a guy with blood coming out of his ear from an accident. I've seen a car accident where I lifted someone's arm up off the ground and put it on the hood of the car. I'm not kidding, I'm not exaggerating at all, but the only thing that gives me the willies, old man with a Band-Aid on his head. It freaks me out every time. Because there's only 2 ways that happen. Grandpa! That's number 1. Or, Grandpa? Both of them awful. Man with a Band-Aid on his head. Especially if it's been there a while and nobody's tending it, so it's starting to flake up. Red. With a yellow ring. And it's coming up a little. And he eats in such a way that you're not sure if he did it himself. I want to be that old, though. I want to be so old. One of you sees me and goes, hey, the Band-Aid on his head. Guess what I'm going to be? I'm going to be old. So are you. You guys are going to be older than anybody who's ever lived on the planet. Do you know that? According to the Harvard Longevity Project, that came out with their findings last year, they had a big TED conference about longevity, and 30-year study on longevity, they said that within 10 years, in first world countries like the United States, human beings will have a life expectancy of 250 years. I know, you tell some people 250 years, like, ew, I wouldn't want to be 250. I would, so I can tell an 80-year-old to shut the hell up. Shut up. We gotta raise the drinking age on these idiots. Can't go to Vegas anymore with 80-year-olds. You'll be 165, you'll know a thing or two. 250. Yeah. They said the first person to live to be 250 is alive right now. Statistically speaking, it's probably a girl, and she's probably 15 years old. And the first person to live to be 1,000 is 10 years younger than she is. And it won't all happen at once. It won't, in 10 years we're not going to have 250 like that. In 10 years they'll add 30, and in that 30 they'll add 50, and in that 50 they'll add 100, and that's how it'll extrapolate. Because Moore's law is now applying to biology as well. It's many of you know, except the people in music, psychology, or education.
Right. Music
but that's true. 1,000 year, and you tell people 1,000-year lifespan, like, where the hell are we going to put these idiots? By 2026, there's going to be 9 billion of us. Where are we going to put them? We're getting space. That's where we're going to put them. We're all going to space, and I'm for it. Because the nearest livable planet is 500 years away at light speed. You know, and I know what you're saying. Hal, if we build a spaceship using current technology, because of Moore's Law, by the time that ship gets halfway, technology on Earth will have gotten 70 times faster than the ship that left. So the question becomes, ethically, do we stop and pick them up on the way? I have a huge brain. Technically speaking, that's true. And it's technically true no matter when you leave. If we left today, or 200 years from now, or 500 years from now, the ship that, once it gets halfway, would still be 70 times faster, would be the ship. So it is inevitable. In the future of mankind, it is going to happen. This will actually happen. There will be a human being, or a modular mix of the two, because male or female, we'll figure out what, because when you're sending someone into space, you want to keep it as concise as possible. So we might genetically modify a bio, both of us, kind of a sea snake human, which can mate with itself so that they can, it's a long story, but it works. So just saying, you got a limited amount of food intake, limited oxygen, we'll work on it. Anyways, it's going to happen. You can volunteer. But the point is, at some point, male, female, or a mixture of the two will be standing at a bay window that is the height of human technological achievement, the absolute zenith of every moment of man's technological, mathematical mastery, and they will see this happen. Oh! Come back here! Left us. That is going to happen. I'm for it. I want technology. You know what I want more than anything? I want a heads-up display. That's all I care about. Just sick of carrying my phone around like an idiot. We're like these lazy cyborgs. You've literally got a bio-brain cyborg computer connection, but you don't have the guts to just put it in your skull. Put it in my skull. Put it in my eye, so that when I see you, I go, hey, Carol, how are you? And your Facebook page comes up, and your Wikipedia articles, and if you're on the sex offender registry, you glow orange so I can shoot you with a dart and run away.